Dear students, good morning. Today we are going to discuss about the topic water. Water, a precious resource. So life on the earth is possible only because of water. Many scientists have made researches on other planets whether the water molecules are present in it. If the water molecules is present only, then the life will be possible. So like all other living organisms, we also depend upon water for our survival. So for various purposes also we make use of water. Can you name some of them? Yes. For cooking, for washing, for irrigation purposes and all, we make use of water. If one day water does not come, means all of our activities cannot be done properly. So all the work will be delayed. After we get water from the tap, then only the routine work can be done. So water is very essential for our basic needs. Nowadays we can say depletion of water takes place, and then demand for water also takes place because of overpopulation, and then due to the climatical changes, global warming, and then irregular rainfall. Because of this, depletion of rainfall is occurring. So for every basic needs, water is essential. And every human being have to save water. In this lesson, we are going to discuss about composition of water, electrolysis of water, laboratory preparation of water, hardness of water, potable water. Potable means drinking. So whenever we feel thirsty, we have to drink water. Doctor advises us to drink 8 glasses of water per day. So it may vary according to the ages. The children, those who feel thirsty, they can drink water at any time. And then next we move on to sources of water pollution, and finally how we can able to control it. Now we are going to see composition of water. Nearly 3/4 of our planet Earth is filled with water. Do you know water exists in all the three states? That is in case of solids, liquids and gas. In solid as ice cubes, and in liquid as water, and in gas as water vapor. Water on the surface of the earth is found mainly in oceans. That is 97.25%. The polar ice caps and galaxies are 2.05%, and the remaining is in lakes, rivers and aquifers, that is groundwater. Do you know our body is made up of 65% of water. Water is a chemically stable compound. The chemical name is dihydrogen monoxide. It can be broken up into hydrogen and oxygen. When an electric current is passed through it, the process of breaking down of water molecules by the passage of electric current is known as electrolysis of water. Now we are going to discuss electrolysis of water. It can be easily demonstrated using an experiment. In the experimental setup, a glass beaker fixed with 2 carbon electrodes is filled with water up to 1/3 of its volume. The positive carbon electrode acts as anode and the negative carbon electrode acts as cathode. 2 test tubes are present on electrodes as shown in the figure. The electrodes are connected to a battery and the current is passed until the test tubes are filled with particular gas. If the gas collected is tested using a burning splint, we can notice that the gas in cathode side burns with a popping sound. when the extinguished splint is brought near the mouth of the test tube. This property shows that hydrogen gas is present in it. Similarly, in case of the second one, when the burning split is placed near to it, it burns more brightly, confirming that it is oxygen gas. This experiment shows that water is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. So the ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1. Hence, for every 2 volumes of hydrogen collected at the cathode, there is 1 volume of oxygen collected at the anode. Now we can see laboratory preparation of water. The apparatus used for the preparation of water in the laboratory is shown in the diagram. In this method, pure hydrogen gas is passed through anhydrous calcium chloride to absorb water vapor if present. Dry hydrogen coming out of the opening is burnt with sufficient supply of air. The burnt hydrogen gas forms droplets of water when it comes in contact with the cold flask. So now finally, distilled water without any dissolved matter can be obtained. Next, you are going to see water as a universal solvent. A solvent is a substance which dissolves other substances. For example, in a salt solution, water is a solvent and the salt is a solute. So when you add water, a small amount of salt, then the water turns into salt taste. Similarly, if we add sugar, it becomes sugar taste. So water has a unique property to dissolve more substances than any other solvents. So it dissolves in both solids, liquids and the gases. In case of solids, salt and sugar we can take. In case of liquids, honey and milk we can take. And in case of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide is present in it. Therefore, we can say water as a universal solvent. So we can see some salts and minerals are the impurities of the solids dissolved in water. Sometimes you can say those dissolved waters are important because of the following reason. They are essential for the growth and development of plants. They add taste to water. They supply the essential minerals needed for our bodies. Most of the chemical reactions important for our living taking place in the cells of our body with the help of the water. These are the uses of dissolved salts. So you can also see some air is also present in the dissolved stage. That is in case of the water, oxygen also will be present. So we will discuss about that now. Air dissolved in water contains approximately 35.6% of oxygen along with nitrogen and carbon dioxide. So let us now discuss about the importance for the following reasons. Air dissolved in water is important for the living organisms to survive. That is, fish extracts the oxygen from the water and expels water through the gills. Fish can survive in water only through the dissolved oxygen present in it. Aquatic plants make use of dissolved carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Marine organisms such as snails, oysters, etc. extract calcium carbonate from calcium bicarbonate to build their shells. So now we are going to discuss about the potable water. Imagine you are swimming in the sea. If accidentally, if you swallow some water, what will happen? So you will have the sensation of vomiting. Why? Because a lot of salt is present in the water. That is, for every liter of seawater, it contains 35 grams of dissolved salts. So here the salt what we mentioned, it is sodium chloride. Such water is called as saline water. It is not suitable for drinking and it is said to be non-potable water. So in case of drinking water, it is said as potable water. Every liter of potable water contains 1 to 2 grams of dissolved salts. Mainly common salt will be present in it. Can we now discuss the characteristics of potable water? Potable water, it always should be colorless and odorless. Odorless means smell should not come. Okay. It should be transparent. It should be free from harmful microorganisms such as bacteria, virus and protozoas. So it should be free from impurities such as suspended solids. It should contain some minerals and salts necessary for our body and some dissolved gases in order to add the taste. So how we can get the purification of water? We already know that the total fresh water available on the earth is only 1% present in water bodies such as river and lakes, and the rest frozen in glaciers and polar regions. So water from these water bodies is unfit for drinking, cooking, washing or bathing because it contains suspended and dissolved impurities in it. So it also contains some microorganisms such as bacteria. So without purifying, if you take, what will happen? It will cause us waterborne diseases such as typhoid and cholera. In order to avoid this, we have to purify the water, then only we have to take inside. So for purification, it requires 3 processes. That is sedimentation, filtration and sterilization. Now we will discuss about that step by step. First one, sedimentation. So water from the lakes or rivers, it's collected in the large sedimental tanks. You can show in the figure. There it is allowed to stand undisturbed so that the suspended impurities will be settled down at the bottom of the tank. Sometimes a chemical substance may be added to it. For example, you can say potash alum. If we add, then the impurities will be settled down at a faster rate. So here that potash alum acts as a catalyst. So the next process we move on to filtration. Water from the sedimental tanks is then pumped to the filtration tank. The filtration tank contains filter beds made up of gravel, sand, pebbles, activated charcoal and concrete. Water passes through these layers and become free from any remaining dissolved or suspended impurities completely. And then next it moves on to the final stage, that is a sterilization process. The filtrated water is treated chemically to remove the remaining germs or bacteria. So this process is said to be sterilization. Here what are the chemicals we use? Here chlorine and ozone we use. So when a chlorine is added, it removes the harmful bacteria and other germs. The process of adding chlorine in adequate amount in water is called chlorination. And then we are doing ozone, we are passing through it. So the ozonization is a process in which water is treated with ozone gas to kill the germs present in it. So after this process, then the water is exposed either to the air or sunlight. Oxygen in the air and the sunlight destroy the germs present in water. Finally, aeration is a process in which air under pressure is blown into filtered water. This also helps to kill the germs. In the house, you can see nowadays we are using RO waters. What do you mean by RO? Let us discuss now. So RO means reverse osmosis. So RO purifiers can remove the dissolved impurities and the germs. They also improve the taste of the water. Once we are addicted, then we use only the RO water to drink. So this is derived from the name reverse osmosis used in the purifiers. Some RO purifiers also have a UV, that is ultraviolet unit, that destroy the germs present in the water. So now we have discussed about the purification of the water. It requires three processes, that is sedimentation, filtration, and finally sterilization. Now next we move on to hardness of water. What will be hardness of water? Those water that we can't make use of it. So there are two types of water, hard water and soft water. So now we'll discuss about that. We use soaps and detergents to wash our clothes. Okay. So when you use detergents, what will happen? The dirt can be removed from the clothes. So water which contain large amount of dissolved salts and minerals is called hard water, and the water which contains small amount of, that is small quantities of dissolved salts and minerals, they are said to be soft water. In this water, soaps or detergents form lather easily. They will form a slump instead of forming lather. This makes the removal of dirt further difficult. So hardness of water occurs due to the presence of dissolved salts of calcium and magnesium. Sometimes this hardness may be temporary or sometimes it may be permanent. So disadvantages of hard water: it is not good for washing clothes. So it does not make the soap ineffective and also spoils the clothes further. It damages the utensils and containers in which it is stored and form a hard layer. You can see in case of some machines and all, iron rods and all, the scales will be formed on the machine parts in industries and decrease their efficiency. It results in stomach ailment if consumed for a long period. Now I will discuss about water pollution. What do you mean by pollution? We already know the physical and chemical biological change in the quality of the substance which are harmful to our organisms, human body. Those are said to be pollution. So there are a lot of pollutions: land pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, sound pollution. In this section we are going to discuss about the water pollution. So contamination of water bodies as a result of human activities is known as water pollution. So the sewage waste are all come under this water pollution. So what are the sources of water pollution? Can you name some of them? Yes. Household detergents, domestic sewage, domestic waste and plastics, agricultural activities, industrial wastes, oil spills, and finally thermal pollution. Let us discuss one by one. Household detergents. So household and cleaning detergents are a major cause of water pollution. So detergents, that what we use. Excessive use of these detergents adversely affect fish and other organisms. So we use some kinds of shampoos, face wash, shower gel and toothpaste. They also have a small round pieces of plastics added to them. These are called as microbeads. When they are added like scrubbing or cleaning your skin and polishing your tooth, etc. When we use these products with microbeads, they go down or drain and pollute water bodies. Fish and other animals feed them and by accident and then get sick. The next we move on to domestic sewage. Sewage means what? Disposal of wastewater. So the wastewater that is disposed of from households is known as domestic wastes. So before entering into the lake or river etc., the impurities have to be removed. Otherwise the food waste and then toxic chemicals may also cause disease causing microbes. And the third one we move on to domestic waste and plastics. So nowadays we can see a lot of plastics we are using, one time use of plastics, and other in the last class also we have discussed about the usage and disadvantages of the plastics. So solid waste including plastics are dispersed or end up in water bodies such as lakes, rivers and oceans. So it also produces a waterborne diseases, malaria, dengue, and the negative impact on the aquatic life. The aquatic life is much affected by this. And then agricultural activities. Agriculture means what we are using? Yes, fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides used in agriculture can dissolve in rainwater and flow into the water bodies such as rivers and lakes. This causes an excess of nutrients such as nitrates and phosphates as well as toxic chemicals in water bodies. It is also called eutrophication. These substances can also be harmful to aquatic life. So fully that algae will be covered in the river or in the lake. So algal bloom they used to say. If it fully covers, then aquatic plants or animals cannot be survived. The next we move on to industrial wastes. So industrial wastes you can say lead, mercury, cyanides, cadmium etc. If this waste is unregulated and is released in the water bodies, it has huge impact on humans, plants, animals and also aquatic life. Aquatic means what? The animals, those are living in the water. And then we move on to oil spills. How the oil spills takes place? That is by means of the crude oils or natural gases under the seabed. So the increasing exploitation of crude oil in the ocean or by accidentally in drilling or transporting oil has been increased. Oil spills can cause water pollution harmful to aquatic life. So how it will affect? It reduces the dissolved oxygen in water and suffocates marine organisms. And finally move on to thermal pollution. So thermal means what? Heat. So large amount of water is used for cooling purposes in thermal and nuclear power plants. Here the power plants means not the plants, that the projects. And in many industries, water used for cooling purposes is discharged back to the river or to the original water source at a raised temperature and sometimes with the chemicals. So which adversely affects the aquatic life. So now we have discussed about the sources for water pollution. This household detergents, domestic wastage, domestic waste and plastics, agricultural activities, industrial waste, oil spills, and finally thermal pollution. Now lastly, how we can control the water pollution? Why you have to control? So in order to save our life and other bodies or precious water bodies from pollution, we have to save. For that we have to take immediate steps. Water is precious and it's essential for all living organisms. So here are some ideas to avoid water pollution. So use detergents that are biodegradable and avoid those contain toxic chemicals. So wear clothes that is made from natural fibers such as cotton and avoid wearing synthetic fibers such as nylon, polyester, etc. Do not throw waste such as plastics into water bodies. Always separate your water into recyclable, non-recyclable and biodegradable so that it does not cause pollution. Use biopesticides instead of chemical pest control. You can use compost made of cow dung, garden waste and kitchen waste can be used as a fertilizer. Water released from industries should be treated before discharge or recycled for industrial purposes. So save water and save nature. Thank you, students.